Hello, welcome. Thanks for joining today. My name is Greg Mannix. I'm um, Vice President of International Business Development at Life Science Nation and General Manager for Europe. I'm based in Europe for the time being and previously in Boston, but everything's changed in the last year for all of us, hasn't it? So welcome to Digital RESI. Digital RESI started in March of 2020, and this partnering platform that we're going to look at today has become such a valuable tool for companies and investors that are looking to continue doing business, to continue connecting with people. And what I think, I hope you'll be able to see today is that this platform will allow you to really identify and understand the different attendees who are at RESI to determine which ones are the right ones to connect with, the right ones to request a meeting with, etc. So let's go right into it. Just so you know, you are welcome to post questions in the Q&A section. And we'll talk about your questions at the end of the session. It should be a little less than half an hour, but depending on how many questions, it might go a little longer. Okay, so the RESI partnering platform is pretty unique, and you'll be able to really have a productive 3 days in June, June 8th through 10th. By using this platform. And I'll show you how you can use this to really make a difference in terms of getting meetings, but also participating in some of the live streaming content. You can manage that here on the platform as well. So you all should have received your login credentials on Monday. And the first thing you'll want to do is create a profile for your company and for yourself. And you do that by clicking on Account up here on the top right. And then when you scroll down, you'll see Edit and the name of your company. You'll want to click there and you'll be able to add a logo and then fill out the different sections with information about your company. If you put in the country where you're located, a flag from your country will show up on your profile. And you'll see that there are a lot of different sections to fill out with information that's useful for investors and strategic partners and service providers to understand what you do and what your stage of development is. Okay, so once you've done that, I also recommend that you edit your personal profile. Click on Edit and your name. And you can add a short bio, photo, headshot, and a little bit of information, even a phone contact if you want to put that on there, so people can get in touch with you more easily. And since this is a partnering conference, I assume that that's all what we all want, right? Is to make connections. So be sure to create your profile, make it as complete as possible without being too long. In each section, there is a limit of how much text you can put in. But fill out as much information as you can. Finally, when you finish that, click on, you'll want to go to Schedule and manage your availability. The reason this is important is because this is a 24-hour-a-day conference that starts at 12:30 a.m. Eastern Time. That's Boston, New York time. And it runs for 72 hours nonstop. So 3 days, throughout the day and throughout the night. So depending on which time zone you're in, you'll definitely want to manage your availability so that you don't get meetings booked in the middle of the night or at a time that's not convenient for you. So if you scroll down, you'll see for all 3 days, the starting time, the conference time zone is Eastern Time US, so that's Boston time, And then in green, you'll see your own time zone. So in my case, I'm 6 hours ahead of Eastern time. And I can see here that I may get a meeting booked at 6:30 in the morning. Let's say, no, I actually don't want to take any meetings at 6:30. Okay, I can do 7. So I'll make it unavailable. And you can do that, over the 24 hours. You'll see that you can block off the times that you don't want to take a meeting. You'll also see on the sidebar here, you'll see some sessions, some live streaming sessions that are planned for different times throughout the day. And this is still not complete. Not everything has been uploaded yet, but there's going to be a session at 2 p.m. Eastern, which is 8 p.m. my time, of impact investors. And let's say I want to see that session, so I can click here and I can read a little bit more about the panel, and I can see who is attending and who's speaking on the panel. And if I decide I want to attend, I can add it to my schedule. So I'll just do that. And now when I go back to my schedule, that session will be booked. There we are. So that's one of the things I wanted to show you today, is that in the Sessions tab, you will be able to manage all of your participation in any of the live streaming sessions that are going on. And as I mentioned, they're not all uploaded yet, but you'll start to see all of the different sessions here in the Sessions section. You can click on the sessions, see who's speaking, and decide if you want to put that into your calendar, into your schedule. Okay, the important thing that I think, the most important thing for most of you is identifying the investors and strategic partners and service providers that you want to meet with over the 3 days of RESI. So you'll want to click on the Search tab. And when you scroll down, you'll see you get all of the attendee firms. There are almost 400 firms, companies, investors, service providers. There are actually almost 600 attendees registered right now. And this will still grow over the next 3 weeks leading up to the conference. So it's important, as you are scrolling through and narrowing down the investors and people that you want to meet with, to check back frequently, because there will be new attendees added all the time. So let's start with an initial search. Let's say we're looking for investors. So I'm going to click on investors. All right, and then let's say I want to see just corporate VCs that are attending, or I want to see just large pharma. I can do that, or I can leave it blank and I can say, I want to see investors who invest in therapeutics, because that's what my company is developing, for example. So I say, I'm developing a drug. It's a drug for oncology and biotech phase of development. It is in preclinical phase. Okay, so I can see here that there are 123 potential investment firms that I might want to reach out to. And I say might because some of them will not be a fit, and I'll be able to determine that by reading the information that comes up. And I can also, there are some other filters I can put in, but I think a good start is just putting in your sector, the indication, and your phase of development. And on each investor, if I click on the little arrow next to their name, I can read this information that we call the business profile. And this will give me a good idea of what this investor does and if they're potentially a fit for me. And why are we able to offer this information for every investor? The reason is Life Science Nation, one of our main activities is curating a database of life science investors from around the world. And this information is automatically uploaded from our database to the partnering platform to make it easier for you to navigate and easier for you to understand who are the right investors for you. So, if you are based in the US or Canada and you see, from this information that, you're in either seed or Series A round, and you think that 5AM Ventures might be a fit for you, you scroll down, you can see the different areas of interest of this investor, and you say, okay, yeah, I want to request a meeting with Katie Bodner, who is attending the conference. So you can either book a meeting directly or send a message, or you can bookmark it and just say, if you want to go back later. So that's an option. But what I would recommend is directly go to book a meeting. If you think that this investor is potentially a fit and you would like to meet, go directly to book a meeting. So you'll click there. And the reason is, if you send a message telling Katie, in this case, that you want to have a meeting, she'll get that message, and she may well get back to you and say, okay, yeah, I would like to meet with you. Then you have to click on book a meeting, and she has to accept the meeting to get booked. So you're adding additional steps where you can automatically click on book a meeting. You can start by clicking on book a meeting, and here you can put in your message just the same. And when Katie, in this case, receives your message and decides that she's interested in learning more about your company, she can just click on confirm, and the meeting will book to both of your schedules, and you'll both get an email with the confirmation. So that's the easiest way. Just go directly to book a meeting, and the other party has the option to decline the meeting and to send you a message, or to confirm the meeting, and it goes directly to your schedules. So what to put in this message that you're sending out? And the important thing here is that this is the first glance at your company that the investor is going to see. So you want to be sure to put enough information in here. I've seen some really weak partnering messages that say nothing about what the company does, or why you want to meet, or why you think you might be a fit for them. And I think that's a missed opportunity, because investors will be receiving many requests for meetings over the next several weeks. And if your message is weak, you run the possibility of not catching their attention enough for them to seriously take a look at your company and what you do, and decide to take a meeting with you. So don't miss out on that opportunity, and put in a message that is compelling. So for that, I'm happy to share with you this template. It's an example of a partnering message that a company, a real company, was using, and was quite successful in getting meetings. So I think it's good to not forget to include these key information points that investors are interested in. So, introduce yourself properly and say, who you are, what your company is, if it's appropriate, where you're located, or if you're a spin out of such and such university or such and such lab, you can mention that. If it adds value, mention everything that you think might grab the investor's attention. Explain what you're developing. Doesn't have to be extensive. It shouldn't be extensive, but you want to tell the investor what you're developing, what unmet need, what problem does it solve, what is the market for this, how do you compare with competitors, what makes your product better, cheaper, faster, unique, whatever. major landmarks or achievements, and what's your current financing need, and what will that money be used for. So all of that can be included in a few paragraphs like you see here. So if you send me an email, I'm happy to send you this template for you to have a look at, okay? And I will put my, you all received my email reminding you about today's webinar, but it's g.mannix@lifesciencenation.com. I'll put it in the chat later. Okay, so once you put in your message, and it can be basically the same message for every investor, I recommend that you personalize each message. Just start with Dear Katie, or Katie, however you normally address people, but personalize it to the person you're reaching out to. The text of the message can be the same. And for your top targets, it's always a good idea to personalize the message a little bit further, perhaps at the end, with why you think your technology is a good fit for 5AM Ventures. And to do that, it takes a little bit of research, looking on their website, seeing their other portfolio companies they've invested in, or you can look on some websites and kind of learn a little bit more about the investor because you think this one is a top target for you. And anything you can say, I've seen that you have an interest in oncology assets, and I think you'll be interested in what we're developing that is a little bit unique because of this and this and this, whatever. But if you can personalize some of the messages, that will be helpful. You probably won't be able to personalize all of the messages if you're reaching out to 100 different investors for this conference. I get that. It takes a lot of time. It's really time consuming. But if you can do it for your top targets, that's always a good thing. Okay, so once you start sending out your messages, let's go back. Once you start sending out your messages, you will see a blue bar under each, not only investment firm, 5AM Ventures, but under each attendee from that firm that you requested a meeting with this person. So you'll be able to see that you requested a meeting and how many messages you have sent this person. And that's important because of what I'm going to talk about next, which is following up. So what I recommend is that you go through and read about all of these investors who are potentially a fit. And some of them won't be. So if this investor invests in the US and Canada, if you're based in Germany, it's probably not a fit. So go ahead and bookmark it and say not a fit. Because this will help you when you go back. And the reason is, we saw that there's over 100 potential investors that you're going to be looking at here. It's very difficult to remember which ones you already read about, which ones you already looked at, which ones were a fit, which ones. You'll be able to see which ones you requested a meeting with, which is helpful. But the ones who when you read the profile and you realize, no, this one's not a fit for me, put in not a fit, bookmark it, and that will help you when you go back through. So when you have requested a meeting with an investor, we think it's really important, and we've seen the results from companies when they follow up frequently and in a professional way and with additional information each time with the investors who don't respond. So let's say that you read through these 120 potential investors and you decide to reach out to 70 of them or 80. And I recommend that you reach out to at least that many. I know it's a lot of work, but it will pay off. You reach out to 70 investors, and I would wait a few days, wait 3 or 4 days, and the ones who have not responded at all, take advantage and click on the Send a Message tab and put in a new message. Let's do it real quick. So now we're going to send a second message to Katie in 3 or 4 days because we haven't heard back from her. So I'm going to say, this is my second request. And I'm going to put in a little bit different focus in my message. So, I can start by saying, Dear Katie, I requested a meeting with you a few days ago. I hope we can meet during the RESI conference. Let me tell you a bit more about our technology and go into a bit more detail about your technology in the next email. After a few more days, after you send out that second request with information about your technology, you'll want to follow up with a third request. And this time, talk to Katie about the market or the unmet need that your product is addressing. So, specifically go into more detail about the need for your technology and why your technology will really help solve this issue. And perhaps you might want to talk about the size of the market. Anything that will hopefully catch Katie's attention. And after before the conference starts on June 8th, a few days before, maybe the week before, you might want to send a fourth request. And in this case, you might want to talk about your team and say, talk about yourself, about your advisory board, about your board of directors, about your chief scientific officer, whatever adds value, and explain why you feel you have such a great team for this project, and that you'd really like to meet during RESI. So the important message here is to follow up frequently with these investors, and you'll be surprised. A lot of times it's the follow-up that will help you get that meeting. It's not sufficient to send one meeting request now and then over the next 3 weeks have no further communication with these investors. I mean, you might get some meetings right away, but a lot of the investors, will wait until the last week leading up to the conference to start filling up their schedules. And they may not remember that you sent out a meeting request 3 weeks ago, when it comes time for the conference. So you have an opportunity to continue making yourself visible to this investor. And you can do that by sending a message and sending several messages. I think it's perfectly acceptable to send, about four or five total messages to the investors you want to meet with. Okay. So one other thing I wanted to show you here. For every investor, you may or may not, so some of you have Premier Partnering, okay? But all of you have the possibility to upgrade if you would like to get this additional information. So let me show you how it works. If you have Premier Partnering, there's a link under every investor, and it takes you to a new site, actually the Premier profiles. And you can see how much additional information we have about the investor that wasn't in the first profile on the standard platform. So the important thing here is that you can understand more about this investor to determine if they're a good fit. And down here at the bottom, you see that Katie's the person attending, but not only that, you get Katie's email contact information. So for all of those 100 or something investors that are a fit for you that you might, that you'll be able to identify, you'll be able to get their email contact information. And that will be very useful for you after the conference, especially for those investors you weren't able to meet with. You'll have a way to catch up with them. So once you read more about the investor, you can click here to go back to the other site where you can book a meeting, send a message, or put a bookmark in. Okay. So this is the most important thing about the RESI conference. It's partnering. It's the opportunity to have 30-minute meetings with a lot of different people. You will get meeting requests as well from some investors who will reach out to you because they're looking for a specific kind of technology, from service providers, perhaps from technology hubs like bioclusters. There are a lot of people who are looking to make connections, and you'll receive some invitations as well. And you can manage all of that in your messages section. And you'll be able to manage your schedule and book all the meetings that you want. Okay, so just so you know, when you log on each day, and I recommend that you try to log in every day to see who the new investors are. You can go back and instead of having the investors ordered alphabetically, you might want to change this in order by date approved, which really means date registered. So if you click there, now your same group of investors will come up in the order that they registered. So if I order by date approved, so this will help you understand. It'll help you see who were the latest investors to register and that you might want to meet with. So you don't have to go through the whole list to see the new people. They'll be right at the top. Okay, and each day when you log on your home page, you'll be able to see this cockpit view of what the situation is, the meetings that are waiting your response, how many meetings have you requested, how many meetings were confirmed, etc. And it will be very motivating to see this number of meetings confirmed going up each day. It's very exciting. You're going to meet a lot of extraordinary people, and it's just such a great opportunity to get visibility and to make meaningful connections. Okay. There is a Partnering 101 which explains, this is a PowerPoint presentation that you can check out. In fact, I recommend that you do because this will help you understand how to manage the platform, especially the day of your meetings on June 8th, 9th, and 10th.